Check one, check one, check one, check one. Yeah. We back. We live. It's the Disrupt or Die podcast. We are here. It's episode number 2.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Kill or be killed, that's the world we live in. Only the strong, they survive, the weak, they tend to give in. Take your effort to the max and multiply that by 10. See the greatness in your mind before it even begin. It's a race to the pinnacle, mind, body, and spiritual. For sure we bout that action, ain't talking about what we finna do. This is an instant classic from the intro to the interludes. Plotting on the fall of another, your soul is pitiful. It's 4th and 1, goal line, get it by any, no compromise. Running through anything if they ain't an outlier. Got tunnel vision, sharper than the eagle's eye. You already know what we do. Going live is Disrupt or Die. What? Look, you already know what we do. Going live is Disrupt or Die. What? Yeah, all bars, no fluff. Word to Matty J, live from the cuts. Yeah, look, from the basement to your city, we get litty. Them dogs on the hunt. Look, take the pot and multiply when it's Disrupt or Die.
Number 2. That means we stuck with it, right? That first episode, it was a doozy, man. A lot of learning. It was a great learning experience for me. My first time really jumping into this podcast space, this YouTube space, figuring out how to put everything together. I truly learned a lot. First rule of podcasting, make sure your microphone is on. Make sure your microphone is on, right? I go through all this setup, the last time, just to find out that my microphone wasn't on the whole time. I'm literally looking at my computer, thinking that I'm recording, and nothing. I have absolutely nothing. Luckily, my camera's microphone, external microphone, was hooked up. So I was able to get some sound. But if you listen to the first episode, the sound is going to be a little bit off. It's not going to sound like what you would imagine a podcast sounding like. But like I said, don't come into this thing with any expectations, because I have absolutely no idea of what I'm doing. I'm just kind of figuring out on the run right now, on the go right now. But it's fun, I'm super excited. I'm super duper excited about this journey, man. I got some really good feedback. I want more, though. Let me know if you tapped into the YouTube, if you tapped into the podcast. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. I want all the feedback. I really want to know the feedback. I need to know, where I can grow, where I can get better. If it's good, if it's bad, let me know. We're a little bit more tapped in this go around. We got our YouTube going. I'm live on Twitch right now. I don't even have any followers on Twitch. My boy is on it. So I thought it was a good platform to really jump onto and get it going, just to see if I can touch as many people as possible, connect with many people as possible, and be on as many platforms as I can, have these conversations. I'm on Clubhouse right now as well, just tapping into every single possible outlet, man. So it's been a crazy week, man, like a crazy week. So my goal with this podcast was to ensure that every Monday, every Tuesday, I give you a new episode. But if you don't know, I live in the Dallas area, and unless you've been living under a rock, we got a really bad snowstorm last week. And I really wouldn't even say really bad snowstorm. I mean, if this was any other city, I've been in the Midwest, during winter time. I have people who live on the East Coast. It's not really bad, as we're going through the week. I'm like, this is just a normal winter day or winter week in any other city. But, since it doesn't really happen like this in Dallas, I think they said like 1989 was the last time it really got this bad. No, they don't have the infrastructure and the resource to really handle this. So, I mean, there were no snow plows, no salt trucks, the power grid wasn't able to handle the weather, even though, there are rumblings or reports that it was, the government doing power rolling. So we would have power for 3 hours, and then it would turn off for 6 to 8 hours, And the reason I knew it was 3 hours because the oven would reset to 12 every single time. So at 3 o'clock, I noticed the power going out. So man, it was crazy. So I didn't get a chance to record any episodes last week because, you know, no Wi-Fi, no power. It was just, it was just crazy, man. Like we still don't have any water. I don't know if our pipes are still frozen. I don't know. I don't think I had a busted pipe or anything like that in our house. But yeah, we still don't have any water, which is crazy. So we're making it work. I don't stink. We're still taking care of ourselves, but it's just crazy that, you know, you see these things on TV. You see other, you know, you see these things happening in other cities. You never think it could happen to you, but when you're actually in it and you're actually having to survive, and then you're seeing people die. Like this is crazy how close to home it was, and that you're actually seeing people die, man. It just really puts life in a whole new perspective, man. Like it really, really does. It makes you appreciate things. It also lets us know how unprepared we are for anything. I noticed that everybody wasn't struggling, right? There were some people, some of my neighbors that were well prepared, even though these things don't happen, they were just well prepared. And it really just let me know, like, all right, man, I got to get my stuff together because, man, I never know when something like this can happen. But we here though. Like I said, it didn't stop me. I'm here. I'm still locked in. I said, you know what? I'm going to make sure I get this episode through. This is something I'm really, really going to see through. I think it's important that I see this thing through, man. Like I truly believe that um I got some great things to say. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here for week number 2. Um yeah, man. So what really sparked this episode is I was having a conversation with one of my friends, um, and we're just talking about life goals, talking about some business goals. She has some business things that she's um, diving into right now. We start talking about branding, then we start talking about like society and like the landscape of society, right? And we were just looking. We started talking about like personal standards, and things that we value, things that we will not do, things that we will do. And we just started noticing like, man, it's just crazy. Like when you look at the landscape of social media, you look at the landscape of the world, and it's almost like a monkey see, monkey do type thing, right? I spoke on it on the first episode, um, about how like social media and you look at the cultural climate right now. It's like everybody's trying to sit at the cool table, right? So like everybody's trying to figure out how to get to the cool table. So like when you do that, you're really just sitting back like, okay, let me peep game and see what everyone else is doing, right? And then you try to emulate that. But what happens is you tend to see a bunch of people doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. It's almost like everyone becomes like a robot, right? But then you look at the way like social media is set up, right? It's like it was almost designed that way for everyone to like be like each other and do the same things and dress the same way and talk the same, you know, walk the same, date the same. Like it's crazy when you really sit back. And let me tell you, like this is a no judgment zone conversation. Like I'm guilty of it as well. Like, we all want to be a part of the conversation, and we all want to participate. So I'm not judging anybody. It's just something that we noticed though, just in the midst of our conversation. And we started talking about like having conversations with certain friends and having to, distance ourselves from certain people because just where our mindset is, what we're trying to accomplish in life. And right, and it makes it kind of difficult sometimes, when you're really focused on pursuing certain things. And when that thing that you're doing doesn't look like what everyone else is accustomed to, right? You're almost like an outcast. You're almost like an outsider. I remember there was a time when I was in junior high school. So if you listen to the first episode again, if you know me, you know that I am a huge Kobe Bryant fan, right? I've always been, since he came into the league, I've always been just a huge Kobe Bryant fan. So Kobe Bryant released these shoes. Kobe 2s. This is when he was on Adidas. Now these shoes look like spaceships. Anybody that's in the sneakers, anybody that's in the basketball, like you know these shoes, right? Like they look like spaceships. They had like it was just like a solid sole, right? Like a solid outsole. I mean, they did have laces, but they were kind of tucked under a flap. And I remember I wanted these shoes. Like I knew they were kind of off. They were kind of funny looking, but I'm like, no, I want these shoes. Everybody else, of course, they want Jordans. Iversons were big at the time, and those were like my favorite basketball shoes. But Iversons were big at the time. Of course, like Air Force Ones were super big. But I had to have these shoes. So I begged and I begged and I begged and I begged. And I finally got them, right? I believe I had like the black pair, but they weren't like a solid black. They were like a matte metallic black. It was weird. Like they weren't solid black. So it was kind of weird, right? And like these shoes, like Google these shoes, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll probably put a picture of it because I have to show you these shoes if you're not familiar with it. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. These shoes went with absolutely nothing, right? You couldn't find the right pair of pants. You couldn't, with shorts, you couldn't scrunch your socks up. Nothing. Like these shoes went with absolutely nothing. And like, to be totally honest, these shoes were horrible. Like these were some of the worst shoes ever created. But I'm like, these are my guy shoes. Like this is Kobe's shoes. I have to have these shoes. And I remember going to school and everybody like just laughing, just dogging me. You know what I'm saying? Just dogging me. And like, oh, look at those shoes. Look at those boat shoes. They call me the boat shoes because they said they were big like a sailboat, or they call them a space shoe, right? But to me, that didn't bother me. I'm like, yo, like, this is what I wanted. And I got it. And I feel so secure. There's nothing that you can say at this moment that can deter me from this joy that I'm feeling. And then I remember going to the barbershop, and my barber looked at him and he started laughing like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. And I was like, man, I love these shoes though, man. Like, this is my guy. Like, this is Kobe. And he was like, you know what? That's all that matters. As long as you are happy with them. That's the only thing that matters. No one else has to wear them. You the one that got to put your foot into these every single day. I had to be like 11, 12 years old when those shoes came out, and having that conversation with my barber. And one thing that, I try to live by, and I tell myself this, it's do you and accept the consequences, right? Be unapologetically you. And whatever comes with that, right? Whoever sticks around, they're going to stick around. And whoever won't stick around, they won't stick around. And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with being who you were made to be, who you're meant to be, what your purpose is in this world. There's nothing wrong with that. And yes, it's not going to look like what everyone else expects it to look like. And it's not supposed to. It's not supposed to. Like, I truly, truly believe that we were all put here with a specific purpose. We were all put here to accomplish specific things. And I'm not talking like grandiose things, right? Some people are going to be here and they're going to make worldwide impact. That's their purpose, right? And I'm not talking about like what hard work gets you, right? Like everyone has the opportunity to be a millionaire nowadays. We have so many resources, so many outlets to do so many things, right? We have so much information. So no one has an excuse not to be able to put the work in and potentially put themselves in a position to be super duper successful financially. But the impact, right? Some people are just going to have greater impacts, but that's what their journey is calling for, right? Your greatest impact might just be the impact in your home, might be the greatest impact in your community, might be the greatest impact to your partner, or whatever the case may be. But guess what? That is okay, right? And it sucks because it's actually kind of selfish for you not to just embrace who you are, where you're from, all the things that make up who you are, the unique qualities that make you who you are. I mean, I don't know who's watching this, who's listening to this, if you're spiritual, or what your religious, beliefs are, but for me, I believe in God. I believe in the ultimate creator, and this isn't my attempt to sway anyone either way. I'm just sharing my perspective. You know, I truly believe when God created me and he created you and he created everyone, like he really, really took his time, right? And no matter how you came out, when you were placed here on this earth, no matter how you got here, you were here for a particular reason, right? Before you leave this earth, there's a mission that you're supposed to be on. Now, it's going to be kind of hard to go on that mission and complete that mission when you're living your life through someone else, when you're trying to live someone else's mission. So I was thinking about this. I was like, man, like, why is it that we get so caught up with trying to be everyone else, right? Or trying to be what we think everyone else wants us to be. Um, I'm like, it has to be fear, right? It has to be fear of course, it's fear of acceptance, right? Because we all want to be accepted. Fear of rejection. Fear of, if I truly expose who I am, what if no one likes it, right? If I truly expose who I am, what if they think I'm weird? What if people don't want to associate with me anymore? Or whatever the case may be. But it truly has to be that, right? Like, what other reason could it be? Like, if I just be me, like, I'm not gonna be successful. Like, I see so and so doing X, Y, and Z, and they're successful, or they're where I want to be in my life. Like, I have to be that. Like, that's the only conclusion I can really come up with is fear. And like I said, like, we all go through that, right? Especially when we're young. Like teenagers, we go through peer pressure. And like being in like high school and junior high, like those years are brutal, right? To establish a social footprint, to get in there and not walk out of there with a negative reputation, like a reputation that lives with you on a daily. Like that's tough, you know. But then I also think too, like, that thing that makes you truly unique and special could be that thing that really changes the world, right? So I have you anyone know, if you've been listening, if you follow me, as I introduced myself, I have a branding background, being a brand strategist. owning a branding solution business, personal brand is something that's really, really big right now. Everyone, is trying to build their personal brand, right? Everyone wants a personal brand. But that thing that makes you unique is a part of your personal brand, right? It's that unique selling point that attracts people, right? Not the trend thing, not the thing that's popular for the moment, but the thing that's going to allow people to stick with you for the long term. People that's going to keep people interested in you in the long term. Man, I truly think about this a lot, man. Like every day I wake up, I'm truly trying to figure out like, why am I here? What's my purpose? So when I was 2 years old, I was in a car accident. And um, I was in a car accident. So my mom had me young. I spoke about this in the last episode. My mom was 16 when she had me. Uh, my mom was in a car with about four of her friends. We were driving out to the lake, right? I was sitting on my mom's lap. Don't believe I had a seatbelt on. She was sitting in the back seat. And they're young, so they turned up, you know what I'm saying? They in the car partying, drinking, music blasting, doing what teenagers do. Um, so I guess the driver got a little inebriated, dozed off, swerved off the side of the road into like the little overpass or it was like a ditch, but because it's going towards the mountains, right? There's a little ditch or whatnot, rocky area. So what happened is the car flipped over 3 times. Hear me. I'm 2 years old. I'm sitting on my mother's lap, no seatbelt. 2 years old. The car flips over 3 times. Everyone flies out the car. One person goes out the sunroof. Another out the window, doors flying open. My mom flies out. Of course, I fly out as well. One lady that was in the car broke her kneecap. I don't know what happened to the other two that was in the car. Surprisingly, my mom escaped pretty much with no injuries. I'm pretty sure she was banged up a little bit. It was a car accident, getting thrown from the car. She escaped with no injuries. Me, the 2 year old, I ended up under the tire of the car. To this day, I have a scar on the side of my head and I have a scar underneath my arm. Hear me. Underneath the tire of a car. I'm 2 years old. Now, I know they say you don't really remember things at that age unless it's a traumatic event. That was a traumatic event. I till this day, I can hear my mom screaming and crying, my baby, please help me, my baby." I remember the paramedics getting there. I remember them removing the car. I remember me screaming for my mom. I remember getting airlifted to the hospital. I remember being in the hospital. I remember my grandmother bringing me Wendy's. It's like I can see all of these moments. And when I reflect on it, it's like I'm here for a real reason. A real reason. Like I wasn't supposed to survive that. I was 2 years old. Who survives that? Unless there's purpose. Unless there's true purpose for being here. So I will be doing myself and God a disservice trying to live my life through someone else. Trying to live someone else's purpose. And I don't know what your event was in your life or what moment it was in your life If you sit back and reflect, that makes you realize, like, yo, I'm really here for something. And understand, like, every single day, I'm supposed to be chasing that. No matter what anyone else thinks, like, I'm supposed to be chasing that because that is my contribution to the world. Now, I always think about this. Like, there's someone out there who's relying on me to fall into my purpose. There's some kid out there, even an adult, but I truly think there's a kid out there that's reliant on me to live my purpose so that I can have an impact on their life, big or small. But that seed is what's going to be planted to help them go live their purpose. I truly, truly believe that. I truly believe we're all in that same position. Like, there's someone depending on your testimony. There's someone depending on your journey. There's someone depending on your experiences, your conversations. There's someone depending on you embracing who you are so they can experience you and you plant a seed in their life so that now that they can go do the same for someone else. And now we create these rippling effects. I truly believe that. And I can be crazy. I don't know. I can. Another thing, I'm kind of like a self-philosophizer. I'm kind of always like having these conversations with myself, and it's not crazy. It's just me really just self-reflecting, but it's also me philosophizing to myself. I read a lot, you know, I'm very introspective. I like to have conversations, hence I started a podcast. Um, and I actually heard this from Kanye West, and he broke life down in 100 years. Just just say the average human life is 100 years, right? So you're going through your life, your first 18 years, right? You're a kid, right? You're figuring it out. Then you jump into adulthood. You're still kind of a kid until like 25. Like, you're still kind of a kid. You know what I'm saying? It's not really till you get into your 30s is when life really, really kicks in. Like, when you really, really step into adulthood. But this is also the time where mentally, you're at your highest capacity. You're probably peaking, from a physical standpoint, a beauty standpoint, right? You're really kicking things into overdrive at this point, right? For most people, right? The great things that are going to happen in your life tend to start here, right? So then your 30s, you're doing all these great things and you're building these great things in your 40s. Now you're sharpening them, right? Now you're really sharpening, you're polishing these things. Your 50s, right? Now you have a stronghold on that thing, right? But you got to remember, as you're getting older, you're getting weaker. Beauty, the youthfulness, beauty is sort of fading a little bit. You're not able to do certain things that you're able to do 20 years ago when you're in your 30s, right? And then this trend continues into your 60s, right? 70s, 80s. By the time you get 80, 70, 80, like, you're kind of just chilling. You know what I'm saying? I know we have those mavericks like Warren Buffett and whatnot that are still working, but Warren Buffett's not finna go get into a street fight, right? He's not finna try to power lift, right? He's not doing strenuous activity, right? He's sitting back and using his mind for the most part, what he does every single day. And then, of course, 80, 90, you're kind of just coasting and cruising life for the most part until you're out of here. So you really have from like 30 to 60, maybe less, when you can truly, truly accomplish extraordinary great things. And like I said, there's anomalies. Colonel Sanders, right? People like that who find success and accomplish amazingly great things later in life. But that's usually not the conversation with a lot of other people, right? So you have from 30 to 60 where you can truly accomplish great things. That's 30 years out of 100. That's 30% of your life out of 100. Right? So when I heard that, I'm like, whoa, that's crazy, bro. I only have 30 years out of 100 where I can truly, truly accomplish great things. Why am I going to spend that trying to be like everybody else? Why am I going to spend that time not trying to walk into my purpose, not figure out why I'm here, and to plant my seed, leave my mark here? Why? Because all that time trying to be someone else, I'm going to look up and that 30 years is going to get cut down to 20 years, 10 years. And some people never even step into it. Just imagine all the people in the cemetery right now. All the great ideas, all the innovations, all the leaders, right? All the community organizers, all the entrepreneurs that never happened in the graveyard right now because they were trying to live their life through someone else. They were trying to be something that they weren't. And I'm like, yo, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be like, yo, he had a lot of potential. He could have been. He should have been. Oh, he had so much potential for. I don't want to be that guy. Yeah, so I have a background in music, and I've done some work in music, and you hear this a lot nowadays with music as well. Like, a lot of things sound the same. And yeah, but I think things have always sounded the same, but now we just have more, right? So people have more access. And it seems like there's a formula to success. And I mean, you can't really get mad at anyone who's chasing something and they see a proven formula. Like, I can be successful if I just follow this path. This person's already showed me the blueprint. And matter of fact, I'm a huge proponent of that, right? Getting into something and finding people who have already laid the blueprint, have already carved out, the road, and just walking into it, putting your own unique spin on it, but just walking into it. I'm really big on that. But you do see a lot of copycat. I'm very technical. I'm really on the producer side of things more so than the artist. Well, I straddle both, right? But my entry point to music was on the producer side. So I listen to the intricacies of the music. So, I hear a lot of the same drum patterns, the same 808s used, the same snares, you hear a lot of the same melodies, same, BPMs. You do. And it's what's hot, it's what's catchy right now. So you can't really knock it. And, and you can't just even knock someone who says, I'm going to chase my dream. This is my dream and I'm going to do it. So you're really a hater if you're just knocking somebody for just following their dreams. But I start thinking about like icons of music, right? The legends. And I even kept it pretty modern, right? So I started to think of like a Drake, right? And I'm pretty sure record companies tried to mold him into what the sound was in 2010, 2011, 2012. But he came with a sound that was so left field. Someone who was like not street talk, because at that time, like, street rap was big. 50 Cent was still huge at the top of the game. Of course, Jay-Z is Jay-Z, which we'll get into Jay-Z. Um, Dipset was still, making moves, you know, but Drake came in singing, and he wasn't talking about the streets, but then he was rapping also, and he added melody, and he changed the game, right? He was thrusted into being a leader of a generation, changed the sound of music. Till this day, he is responsible almost single-handedly, but he is top two, three, four major influences to the sound of music now. You look at like a Kanye West in 02, 03, it was so hardcore hip hop. DMX, Ja Rule, 50 Cent, Jay Z again, Terror Squad, Busta Rhymes. Like, you look at the landscape of music at that time, it was super hardcore. You got this kid coming in wearing pink polos and backpacks, wearing Gucci and Lacoste. You know what I'm saying? Talking about, art and telling a different story about the South Side of Chicago. Talking about dressing well. Adding live orchestras to his music. Changed the sound of music. Changed the sound of music. Became an icon. You look at someone like Jay-Z, right? He came in talking street stuff, but he wasn't talking about gangbanging, right? He wasn't talking about like killing people. He came in talking about hustling. No one was doing that, right? It was still the bad boy, shiny suit era. You know what I'm saying? Super poppy. Everyone trying to follow in the Puff Daddy, you know, footsteps and music. But he came in talking about hustling. He came in talking about entrepreneurship, right? Showing people how to take street money and turn it into legit money. And now look, my man's worth a billy. He's worth a billy. You look at Puff Daddy, right? The New York scene in 92, 91, 92 was super grimy, right? Super grimy and gutter. All the videos were dark. Everyone was in Timbs and baggy jeans and oversized jackets, and all the videos were dark, and they were in alleys and in the mud. Puff came out in a suit. He came out, wearing Rolexes, bust downs, wearing platinum necklaces, right? He came in showing you luxury. He changed the culture, right? And I say that because all these artists, and this is just a few, like we can go on and on about, and just think of anyone who's truly made cultural impact. Most likely when they first came in, they were doing a sound that was so unique to them. They got a lot of hate at first. It wasn't widely accepted, but they came in being uniquely them and became icons. Are you the next icon? Are you the next icon? That's a question that you're going to have to ask yourself. I mean, and you're never going to find out trying to be somebody else. You'll never know until you truly embrace who you are, embrace the things that truly make you great. Not what everyone else thinks is great, but what truly makes you great. Embrace the unique characteristics that only you have. What that is, no one's going to know but you. And it's going to take a super high level of soul searching, a super high level of being truly transparent with yourself. You'll never know if you can be the next icon unless you do that. I mean, just a couple thoughts, something that ran across my mind, and I can go on and on forever, but I just want to kind of put that bug in your ear and kind of share this message with you, share my thoughts with you. But let me know your thoughts. Did I come off judgy? Am I off? Am I spot on? Let me know. Hit me on the socials. I changed my Instagram up. It's now Hello Julian Official. I'm trying to get all my socials, aligned, just so to make it easier for people to get in contact with me. Um, but yeah, I want to know your feedback. I want to know, you know, how you feel about this conversation. You know, um, I also want to know how the podcast is going so far. I mean, I feel good about it. I have a lot more stuff that I really, really want to talk about, man. Um, and I like getting on here and just chopping it up with everybody. You know. But yeah, go be legendary. Go be legendary. I'm out.